We are cycling the legendary Pamir Highway, or second highest international road, only topped by the nearby Karakoram Highway, which goes 38 meters higher.
Having followed along the rough Tajik-Afghan border for a bumpy and extremely dusty week, overcoming some proper lows in the process, it is finally time for us to get very high.
In this episode we push our bicycles through thin air and onto the roof of the world, the Pamir Plateau.
After having cleaned and maintained our bicycles to the best of our abilities, giving our sore bodies some deserved rest and stocking up our supplies as much as possible, we leave Khorog behind.
Hi! Hello! Good, thanks, how are you? Not bad, very good. Salam, salam.
The capital of the GBAO lies at the comparably moderate altitude of 2080 meters. Our next stop, Alichur, is at 3,900 meters, and there are 3 ways to get there.
The easiest option is staying on the M41. It is the shortest route with more or less decent asphalt for most of the way and a fairly gradual ascent to 4,271 meters Koytizhik Pass.
Then, of course, there is the famous Vakhan Valley route, which continues along the Panj River and the Afghan border. It is about 110 kilometers longer, more remote and challenging. Therefore, one can enjoy stunning views over the neighboring Hindu Kush mountain range before rejoining the M41, just 24 kilometers west of Alichur.
Barely known is the Shakdara Valley, literally the path less traveled, arguably the worst road in the higher section. It adds Maisara Pass with roughly 4,250 meters, followed by a steep 500 meter descent back to the M41, just to climb up again to Koytizhik Pass. So far, we've never shied away from a good climb, and looking at what's coming, well, how bad could this one possibly be, right?
After a lazy late start out of Khorog, it soon looked like rain, but some locals were so kind to invite us into their home for the night.
The next day, in an effort to spare our supplies, we tried to find a second breakfast in the district capital Rosh Kala. Salam. We explore the market and eventually find a restaurant, but...
Здравствуйте. Что есть покушать? Сейчас? Да. Сейчас пока ничего. Яички, яичница только.
А когда будет готово?
К обеду.
К обеду?
Суп будет, голубцы будет, гуляш будет, бифштекс будет, плов будет.
Хорошо. No, they don't have anything. Only for the lunch now. Only
2
eggs.
hours. No, more eggs.
Спасибо.
It is late August, which is the best time of the year to do the Pamirs. The lower valleys are green and the Pamirs are busy bringing in the harvest, providing a short period with some fresh fruit and vegetables available. Also, after the short summer with the snowmelt and even the glacier melt almost over, flooding and landslides are much less of a problem. This is worst from April to June, but throughout August glacial melt can lead to outburst floods from high altitude lakes, blocking or destroying roads for extended periods, effectively cutting off entire valleys from the rest of the country. I guess we have a slight problem. Oh no.
Oh,
That's bad.
what shall we do?
Okay, to our luck, there is a detour through the village. We don't have to swim.
This must have happened before, so the villagers cut an alternate road into the steep flank of the valley.
Oh no. Oh. Oh. Whoa.
What a nice detour, huh?
Local bicycle gang led us through the detour through the village. Back at the river we enjoy a nice tailwind. It is a strong valley breeze caused by the relatively faster heating of the air on the high plateau ahead of us during daytime.
The kids are still following us. Unfortunately, they don't seem to learn Russian anymore, and no English either. At some point, they fall back. How far from home will they ever go?
Откуда пар?
We continue along the Shagdara River up the valley for the rest of the day. It is getting narrower and narrower. At sunset we struggle to find a flat camp spot, but eventually reach a small settlement where family allows us to put our tent in their garden. Day 3 in Shagdara. We're at 3,000 meters. And breathing gets more difficult already. This is about 3,200 now. Oh my god.
А есть еще магазин креветки?
Дальше. Километр 15.
15 вот такие.
Есть магазин, да?
Да. Километр 15 дальше.
It's 25 somoni per person. Usually they don't give breakfast, but I asked if they can give us some food. I told them we will pay 25 more.
We highly recommend staying in Habiba's homestay. The wall to the right side of the hallway has some serious water damage. Behind it is a pool which can be flooded with fresh and warm water from a thermal hot spring. We thoroughly enjoyed the warm bath.
Later, we share our dinner with Habiba and her family. Getting the pasta cooked takes almost twice as long at 3,150 meters above sea level. Chef Matthias is not happy, as the pasta turns out far from al dente, but is instead weirdly gluey and mushy outside while still kind of undercooked inside. The two energetic and cheerful girls don't know it any different, of course, and don't seem to mind.
When it's already dark, it takes the family some time to find their two cows.
Это больше. Я его доить. Хватит? Это дальше не могу. У меня руки уже. Пальчики. Еще. Рано так красиво.
Раз, давай. Давай.
After milking is finished, they get locked in for the night for safety. Araf prefers not to ask why that is necessary. The next morning, we soon reach the last permanently settled village of this valley.
Oh, here, magazine, please.
The coming 2 nights we'll spend in the remote wild, and we hope to stock up our supplies.
Salam, здравствуйте. Spices. Yeah.
Yeah, we buy butter because it's cold enough that we can have butter.
Finally.
And also we'll have a Iranian tomato paste. That was 22 Tajik somoni. Not so bad. The available food in these shops is so limited because their ability to earn cash is limited. If they can make something at home, that's what they do. Habiba gave us 2 loaves of bread for the way, so we are fine. But you will have a hard time finding bread in shops. The communists, Karl Marx and Engels.
Named after the thinkers who dreamt of a communist utopia, these 2 summits have watched over the Shakhdara Valley for millions of years. At 6,700 and 6,500 meters, they are taller than anything we have seen so far.
5 of the 6 highest mountains in Tajikistan at least once carried names meant to glorify the Soviet project. The highest of them all, with 7,495 meters, is Stalin Peak, later renamed Peak of Communism, just to become Ismail Somoni Peak after independence. Further north, Lenin Peak still bears the name of the revolutionary leader on the Tajik side. And then there was also Revolution Peak, named for the October Revolution, which promised a workers' paradise and goes by Independence Peak nowadays. We are roughly at 3,600 meters, which is definitely the highest we've ever been. We left the last settlement behind us, and the terrain got much rougher, as you can see. We want to get as close to the pass as we can, so that we can safely make it over it tomorrow. It's at 4,200 meters roughly, and of course I'm a little worried about the thin air, so this is why today we did not stay in the last village in a comfortable guest house, but instead go as far as we can and as high as we can.
Back when we did the Anzo Pass, Matthias suffered badly from altitude sickness at a slightly lower altitude of 3,400 meters. This time our ascent was much more gradual, so we hope it will be fine.
We decide to camp at the turnoff to the Engels base camp, as the sun will set soon and the temperature will drop fast. Unlike at lower elevations, the thin mountain air can't trap much warmth. During the day, the sun's rays heat the ground directly, but once they're gone, that heat radiates away into the atmosphere almost instantly. Without vegetation, thick air and humidity, the temperature plummets close to freezing within minutes.
A massive thanks to our amazing supporters. Without all of your contributions via buymeacoffee.com/aworldbiketour and paypal.me/amazingworldbiketour, we couldn't afford making our videos for a while now. If you want to chip in, check out the links in the video description below. Every little bit helps us to create another episode.
We are in the Shakdara Valley at 3,550 meters. We took our time to get here, to get the acclimatization for the altitude, and so far we have no problems, no headache. Of course the breath is a little shorter, and today will be a hard day.
Yeah, and it's freezing.
Yeah, this night was pretty cold. When I got up at 5 in the morning, the thermometer showed 1 degree Celsius. And next night will be colder because we have to go over the pass now, which is at 4,200 something meters. And then we can descend a little bit to the main road, the M41 Pamir Highway. But this is still pretty high, so we assume that the next night will be 4,000 meters, so really, really cold.
The road is really bad and steep and it's windy, so it's very, very cold. And since we started to cycle this valley, Matthias was searching for the two communist pigs, the Marx and Engels. And we thought we found Engels. And now we finally realized where Marx is. It's right there behind the clouds. Yeah, unfortunately it's too high to see it.
Once symbols of Soviet ambition and greatness, the two peaks stand as silent witnesses to an ideology that fails spectacularly. Whether you see them as remnants of history or simply breathtaking natural wonders, this is a view worth the ride. As we turn north to climb over Maysara Pass and out of the Shakdara Valley, the road gets a bit steeper and rockier. If you do the valley the other way, one has Marx and Engels in plain sight coming down the pass.
We find pushing the bike quite frustrating, but with a fair amount of loose ground, it is at times barely possible to ride the bike.
Come.
Matthias gives it a try anyways, but there is just not enough oxygen in the air to sustain pedaling like that for more than a minute.
It's not worth it.
Up here, the wind has a fierce bite. For lunch, we rest a bit in the glaring sun and admire the clouds racing by. Time to reapply sunscreen. While the Chinese-made African Kids brand available in Khorog seems to be the best sunscreen money can buy in the Pamirs, it does not at all feel like it provides the advertised 50 SPF. We recommend applying it as a thick layer.
It's already late in the afternoon when we finally reach the pass at roughly 4,250 meters. This is the highest we've ever been, an almost barren landscape. Weirdly enough, the ground is sandy in many places. If it wasn't so cold, one could almost think that this is a desert. We would love to enjoy the view a little longer, but there isn't much sunlight left. Up here the temperature will probably fall to -5 degrees Celsius or below at night, and without any cover the wind chill will make it feel even worse, so we hurry to descend.
To our surprise, a shepherd family built a stone hut up here. It smells of manure and burning dried dung bricks, the only available fuel for heating. They immediately invite us to stay the night, but we are 700 meters higher than the night before and already feel a slight headache.
The water is extremely cold and too deep and rocky to cycle through. Our panniers are not really waterproof anymore, therefore we have to unload and carry them over without getting our shoes soaked. Really unnecessary. We need to get down. This just takes a lot of time. We are racing down to the Pamir Highway to get out of bear territory. Well, this is bad, but the other side is just as bad. Okay. Nothing happened. That's so bad.
This is the first time Matthias fell. Fortunately, he was very slow and didn't get hurt.
No, it's okay.
To prevent altitude sickness and freezing, we descend all the way down to the M41 at 3,750 meters.
It is pretty cold. 6 in the morning. Still 2 degrees. And today will be a tough day. To the next settlement, and the next possibility to buy anything is 70 kilometers and 1,200 meters of climb. Now we're trying to make some tea to warm up a little bit, and then some oatmeal, and then we'll try to get going as soon as possible. Let's hope the sun goes around this corner to warm us up.
We are wearing almost everything we have. Merino wool long sleeves and long underpants, wool socks, a second wool t-shirt, our fleece jackets, down vest or sweater, our wind jackets, wool gloves and a hat.
While we generally can't complain about the weather conditions, we learned another lesson. Don't pitch your tent with a mountain to your east. Once the sun manages to make her way around the corner, the temperature gets quite pleasant. Asphalt! Woohoo! Awesome.
Finally!
Komm schon. Nein. Oh Mann. Tada, tada.
Nein! Every time I finished pumping the tire and I want to take the pump off the valve gets out. So yeah, that's not good. Okay, next try. Come on, please. Stay. Oh my god. Third try is a charm, huh? Holy crap. Oh, that was annoying. It did not help that the wheel was not rebuilt properly when we had the hub changed in Yerevan. The spokes were not arranged so that the widest gap is where the valve is. It also did not help that back when I bought that pump, I didn't know the difference between a high pressure and a high volume pump. Oh.
Well done!
Well, it was nice with the asphalt, as long as it lasted. It was not too long, unfortunately.
But I certainly could have spared myself the struggle bringing our tires back to full pressure. After barely 2 kilometers of asphalt delight, the M41 turns back to bumpy gravel in the climb to Koitezek Pass.
Since we left Chorok, we have seen less vehicles every day, and certainly no heavy lorries. The whole day climbing up to Maisara Pass, we didn't even see another human being.
Oh, we're 4,100 meters now. 170 more to the top for this first pass of the day. But there's 2 more, I think.
Where is the asphalt? Now, back at the main road, it is still very quiet. But every now and then, these massive, heavy truck trailer combos hauling goods from and to China pass us. They are the reason why China is rebuilding much of the Pamir highway.
Arif is a little bit pissed because there was no asphalt all the way to the top. Now we are at the top and there's some asphalt. Well, nobody knows for how long, but we'll make a little break here. That's still 56 kilometers to Alichur.
By taking the Shakdara Valley, we apparently also bypassed a long section of the M41 with almost perfect surface quality. The gravel descent from Koetezek had a lot of washboard, small rigid patterns, much like the ribs of a washboard. These ridges, caused by vibrations and friction, make the road bumpy and hard to ride, slowing down progress and adding a lot of discomfort.
Oh my god. Oh, I cannot believe how happy some asphalt makes us by now. Oh, it's so good. Yep. No kidding. Second climb of the day, almost done. Again, 4,000, almost 200 I think, not sure, but pretty high. And of course, the road is not very good.
Can't take the shaking anymore.
Actually, I think my headache is due to the shaking as well. Oh, my neck. Oh, brutal. Climb number 3 of the day. Woo-hoo. Oh, I'm so done. Still 27 kilometers to Ali Chur.
We passed by the turnoff to the lakes Yashikul and Bulungkul. The village by the name of the latter is the coldest permanent settlement in Central Asia, with a recorded low temperature of minus 63 degrees Celsius. It is somewhat famous for the fish from the lake, but we mentally can't bear any additional gravel roads right now. We got a recommendation in Ali Chur, where we hope to get a good day's rest.
131 Kilometer.
Just where the road from the Varkan Valley rejoins the M41, we first passed Tuskul, literally Salt Lake, and then Sasikul, or Stinky Lake, referring to the odor of the sulfur gas it emits.
We had a very difficult day and now we don't have any water. This is the last climb. Only 8 to 9 kilometers.
Oh, I'm so done. Yes, that's my wife. No, no, why? Help.
During our resting day, we explore Aliço by foot. We are awfully tired as we couldn't sleep during the night. Every time we fell asleep for a few seconds, we woke up immediately gasping for air. It is the altitude. The air pressure at 3,900 meters is only about 62% of what it is at sea level, and our bodies did not yet fully adapt to breathe fast enough or deep enough unconsciously.
Okay, this is a shop, but there's nobody here.
How much are there?
Life is tough here, but even so, about 2,000 people and some yaks live here permanently. In the high Pamirs, yaks are a vital part of the daily life. Well adapted to the harsh climate, they can survive at altitudes over 4,000 meters. Only a few other animals manage to live up here, like the pika, ibex and snow leopard.
For generations, herders in the eastern Pamirs have relied on yaks for transport, milk, wool and meat. Their thick fur protects them from the freezing cold. During winter, temperatures in Aliço can fall below minus 45 degrees Celsius at night. Whether grazing on remote pastures or carrying loads across the remotest mountain passes, yaks remain an essential part of life in this vast and unforgiving landscape.
I don't have cat food, I'm very sorry.
Almost the entire Murgop district, basically the eastern half of the GBO, lies above 3,500 meters. 80% of the roughly 15,000 people living in the region are actually not Pamiri people but ethnic Kyrgyz. This is because the M41's construction started from the then Kyrgyz Soviet Socialist Republic during the early days of the Soviet Union in an effort to secure military and economic interests in the Pamirs.
My name is Rahima. I'm living 38 years. When I studying in Dushanbe institution, there was no teacher, an English teacher, and I came and I learned the children. I work at school. So this place for me it is difficult, but I am staying there. Now it is my country. I'm staying there, but it is a little cold. It is cold and difficult when winter, and it is dry cold. If snow, little, but no more. Like this, it is not very difficult to live in this place because we have animals and we're looking for them. If we need something, if not money, we change the meat with fruit or with vegetables. In this place, we live in two groups, Kyrgyz and Tajik. If we need something, we're going to Kyrgyz family, they came to us, and we living friendly. Only when the person staying 45 or 50, many people has high blood pressure, yeah.
We stayed one day in Aliço and rested.
Even with being in a comfortable bed and a warm place, I could barely sleep the last 2 nights. I feel kind of a shortness of breath and my heart is racing. So that must be the altitude, and we hope in Murgop, about 300 meters lower, this will be better.
That was stage 3 of our Pamir Highway adventure. Join us again next time when we fight hard to reach the breathtaking altitude of 4,655 meters at Akbaital Pass.
If you enjoy following our journey and want to see more, help us reach at least 1,000 likes. With just one click you can make a big difference for small and independent creators like us. By pressing the like button and by sharing this video, you enable YouTube to suggest our content to more people that like to see beyond the familiar.
Oh, you can't imagine how amazing it is to be on asphalt.
Thank you so much. Ride safely.
And may the wind be at your back.